As the sun broke through the veil of morning mist, the village of Mbara awoke like a memory stirred from slumber. Its mud brick huts, nestled in the arms of the red earth, stood solemn like the elders that built them. The acacia tree at the heart of the village, twisted, vast, and gnarled, had whispered to generations in the hush of dawn. There was magic here, but it moved like the wind, felt, never seen. In Mbara, nothing was ever just what it appeared. Buried deep beneath the roots of the sacred acacia was a relic older than the village itself, an ivory horn carved by hands long returned to dust. They said the horn whispered in the night, not in voice, but in thoughts, in dreams, in visions that clawed their way into the minds of those brave, or foolish, enough to touch it. Elders warned of its power. Children were told it was cursed. But some said it was the voice of ancestors, a guide, a gate, a curse, a cure, all bound in one. Xena was known as the girl with no past, no parents, and no shadow. Her eyes burned with a hunger that had little to do with food. She moved like a whisper, unnoticed yet ever present. In the market, she watched more than she spoke, and when she spoke, her words clung to memory like burrs to cloth. The villagers pitied her, or feared her. For Xena had dreams. Dreams not of this world. Each night, Xena returned to the same dream, a fire crackling across dry grass, smoke curling like snakes toward the heavens. A horn shone in the distance, its surface etched with runes she could not read but somehow understood. Then came the wind, black, howling, alive. It carried voices, laughter, cries, all tangled in one terrible harmony. She would awaken breathless, heart-thudding, the whisper still echoing, "Find me." Mama Doma had seen too many suns to count and had watched too many souls disappear without warning. Xena came to her with eyes wide, voice shaking. "What is the horn?" she asked. Mama Doma leaned forward, her voice like gravel and wind. "It is not a horn, child. It is a doorway. It does not blow music, it speaks truth. And truth can burn flesh from bone." But Xena could not look away. Against every warning, Xena found herself beneath the acacia at midnight. She reached for the horn as if pulled by invisible threads. The moment her fingers brushed the ancient ivory, the ground seemed to hum. Her vision blurred, her heartbeat grew wild, and then, nothing. Silence. Except within her mind, where 1,000 voices screamed and whispered all at once, calling her by name, showing her a world unraveling. Through the horn's whisper, Xena saw the future, or a future. The village she loved reduced to cinders. The tree that once guarded them now sundered, bleeding sap like blood. Faces she recognized twisted in fear, running, falling, disappearing. The horn showed her no mercy, only truth, that something dark was waking, and she was at the center of it. The vision left her hollow. Her body collapsed like a broken marionette beneath the roots. The horn, now silent, rested beside her, its glow fading as though it had exhaled. Villagers found her the next morning, lips cracked, skin damp with dew. But her eyes, when they opened, carried the storm. She was no longer just Xena. Something had changed. The council of elders gathered, their faces carved from stone. Xena stood in the center, her voice defiant, trembling. "The horn has spoken. We must prepare." But fear gripped them tighter than logic. They saw a child tampering with sacred things. "You have awakened something foul," one said. "Seal the horn. Forget the vision." But visions cannot be buried, and whispers cannot be unsaid. Alone, she stepped beyond the boundaries of the village, into the whispering tall grass of the savannah. The moon followed her like an eye, unblinking. Each step forward was a step deeper into prophecy. She carried the horn not as a weapon, but as a key, to what, she did not know. But something in her bones told her she would not return unchanged. As Xena wandered beyond the lands she knew, she encountered a figure who seemed sculpted from the land itself. The Dustwalker, neither fully man nor spirit, watched her in silence. His eyes, ancient and burning like coals, pierced through her soul. "The horn you carry does not belong to you," he said, voice like wind across stone. "But it has chosen you nonetheless." He told her of a curse bound to the land, an ancient hunger buried in earth and time. "If you fail, Mbara will not fall, it will vanish," he whispered. "And so will you." The Dustwalker placed his hands upon her forehead and shared a memory not her own. She saw the horn being carved under the watchful eye of a blood moon. The tusk came from the last elephant who spoke the tongue of men. Elders surrounded the artisans, whispering prayers into the grooves. It was not a weapon, it was a container, a prison for something unspeakable. And it was never meant to be found again. To seek answers, she ventured into the Valley of Forgotten Names, a place where memory fades and names are unspoken. Stones lined the paths like tombs, each carved with symbols that shifted when she blinked. The horn pulsed softly in her arms. Each step was heavier than the last, as if grief itself hung in the air. Here, she was told, she would find the Truth Keeper. The Truth Keeper did not speak, she sang. A low, mournful chant that wrapped around Xena like vines. Through the song, Xena saw herself as an infant placed at the acacia tree, wrapped in a blood-soaked cloth. Her parents had been horn bearers, executed to stop the prophecy. "You are not an orphan," the woman said at last. "You are a vessel. Born for the horn, forged in silence." Xena trembled. Her past had been hidden, not lost. As her identity unraveled, so too did her flesh. Standing at the edge of a sacred spring, she gazed into her reflection and found a stranger. Symbols now crawled along her arms like living tattoos, her eyes shimmered with ancestral light. The horn had begun its final work. It was fusing with her, body, memory, soul. She was no longer just Xena. She was the call. Far below the village, beneath the roots of the broken world, something stirred. A slumbering shadow, nameless and old, shifted. It had once been a god, cast down by the horn. But now the seal was weakening. It remembered hunger. It remembered vengeance. And it remembered the child born of prophecy who now carried its cage above ground. Its time had come. The sky above Mbara turned to ink. Thunder howled like beasts, and lightning clawed at the earth. Villagers screamed, animals fled, and the sacred tree groaned as flames licked its base. And through the chaos walked Xena, hair wild, skin aglow, the horn in her hand vibrating with fury. She had returned not to plead, but to fight. The end had begun. The elders who once condemned her now knelt in silence. They saw not a girl, but a force. Rain poured as if the sky wept in relief. "You were right," one whispered. Xena looked down upon them, not with pride, but burden. "It is not me you serve," she said, "but the voice that chose me. I am merely the last echo." Beneath lightning's gaze, Xena raised the horn. The moment her breath touched the ivory, the storm paused, as if listening. The sound was not music. It was the voice of the dead, the cry of the unborn, the sigh of the land itself. The horn did not sing, it screamed. And through that scream, the seal cracked. The ground split open. From it rose a form made of nightmares, smoke, flame, memory, and rage. The spirit of the ancient hunger, once locked in ivory and ruby, now stood tall. Villagers fell to the ground. Crops withered in seconds. It looked at Xena and laughed, not with humor, but recognition. "So," it growled, "you are the last child. In the charred fields of Bara, girl and god collided." The horn pulsed in Xena's hands like a heartbeat. She summoned memories of her parents, her dreams, her people. The spirit raged, summoning winds that tore trees from the soil. But Xena stood firm, voice raised in a chant she did not know but had always known. Light met shadow. Flesh met eternity. And something cracked. With a sound like thunder breaking glass, the horn shattered. Light erupted in all directions. The spirit shrieked, recoiled, and then vanished, sunk back into a crack in the world it had fought from. Xena was thrown like a leaf, her body limp, her mind scattered. The horn was no more. And so was the darkness. Morning came like a bomb. The fire was gone, the sky was blue again. Xena lay in the grass, surrounded by soft wind and curious birds. Her skin bore no symbols now. The horn was dust. She awoke not as a bearer, not as a warrior, but as herself, just Xena. For the first time, she knew peace. The whispers were gone. Her mind was her own. Bara was not the same, but it was alive. The tree that had burned now sprouted anew, a small green sapling cradled in prayer. Huts were rebuilt, songs returned, and laughter danced in the wind. Xena helped, quietly, no longer seen as a myth, but as a neighbor. And though the horn was gone, its lesson remained, that truth cannot be buried, and courage often wears the face of the forgotten. When the village no longer needed her, Xena left, not out of sorrow, but instinct. Her steps were slow, each echoing with stories untold. The sun bathed her in gold as she walked into a world still whispering her name. Somewhere beyond the hills, another story waited. And this time, she would write it not as a bearer of fate, but as a seeker of her own.